Morning.
Never mind. Your mistress up yet?
Yes, she upstairs, sitting room, with secretary man.
Very good. Drina? My secretary's working with Mrs. Edwards?
Yes. Another boat has arrived from the Orient.
One who knows too much can very easily be sent back to the Orient.
I'm not afraid.
And then one might never see the Orient again. You know who got you this position? You wanted to come to America, didn't you?
He's home.
You're terrified, aren't you? You're trembling.
Peter, stop it, please.
Valerie, how long are you going to stand for this sort of thing?
Peter, you're forgetting yourself.
You're afraid of him, aren't you? You try to hide it, but you can't. It's becoming more apparent every day.
The boat came in last night. He was out all night, and he brought something home with him.
Really?
It might be what we're after.
I hope so.
What's the matter with you? You're not even listening. Have you forgotten why we're here? You're not interested in your work anymore. You're not interested in me. All you think about is Mrs. Edwards.
Mrs. Edwards has nothing to do with it. Oh, I'm interested in the musical career she offered me.
Career? You're in love with her.
Valerie, don't you see where you're heading? Do you want the same fate as his first wife? A suicide?
Peter, please.
He drove her to it with one refined cruelty after another. He's doing the same thing to you.
Peter, stop it, please.
Oh, but Valerie, can't you see I love you?
I won't listen.
Yes, you will. I won't stand by and see the woman I love thrown to pieces. I can't stand much more. Someday I'm going to kill him.
Peter!
Good morning, my dear.
Good morning.
Have you finished the guest list for our party?
We're just making it up.
Did you invite Ed Jenny? I want to show him something.
Yes, I telephoned him at the university, but he was giving a lecture. I told his secretary.
I'd like to invite Mr. Wong, too.
The Chinese detective?
For your information, he's probably one of the 5 foremost living authorities on ancient art and literature in the Orient. He's also a graduate of Heidelberg and Oxford. Valerie, how long is this mockingbird going to continue?
Oh, Peter, would you ask Michael, please, if he'd mind practicing a little later? Tell him he's annoying Mr. Edwards.
Yes.
It was your idea that we bring Stroganoff to America. You said he was wasting his marvelous talent, didn't you?
Yes?
Well, he has to keep up with his practicing.
Is that why he moved in with us? Or was it so he could feast his eyes on you?
That's not true.
I'm not blind. He has a great attraction for women, hasn't he?
I hadn't noticed.
No?
No. And I don't like your insinuations. You know I'm only interested in his voice.
So? Then what might your interest in young Harrison be?
You're insane. What are you trying to do to me? You throw this together constantly, both Peter and Stroganoff. Well, dismiss Peter. Send Stroganoff away.
In case you were worrying about my absence last night, I was receiving the eye of the daughter of the moon.
Brandon.
What?
You didn't bring that jewel into this house.
Why not?
We'll all be murdered.
Don't be silly, Valerie.
Don't you remember what they told you in Shanghai? What would happen if that jewel ever left China?
An Oriental superstition.
They said it carried the curse of Emperor Hong Chong-Chu.
And they said the emperor was very jealous of his wife. When he buried her, he placed the gem in her heart. Mr. Wong, pardon me. Well, Mr. Wong, glad to see you.
I'm afraid I'm inexcusably late.
Not at all. Pleasure to have you at any time, I'm sure. Oh, Valerie, dear, may I present Mr. Wong, my wife, Mrs. Edwards.
So nice of you to let me come.
I'm delighted you could come, Mr. Wong.
My dear Wong, this is such a pleasure.
Well, Jenny, I haven't seen you since the Dayton affair.
No, that very interesting case.
Yes. Do you remember that awful night in the open car? Raining cats and dogs.
It was almost a year ago.
Oh, stop it, stop it.
Oh, no, please, it's so exciting. Let them go on, please.
Don't encourage them, my dear. They'll be over in a corner. We'll lose them for the entire night. Now, pardon me just a moment. I must see Mr. Wong.
If you'll excuse me, Mrs. Edwards.
Be with you later.
I'll see you later, Jenny.
Now, Wong.
You never met Wong before. Fine scholar, brilliantly clever man. And a very good friend to have.
Like you.
Oh, a matched pair. You found the mate.
Yes.
You know, my dear Edwards, someday this collection will be your monument.
Perhaps. Now that I've found this.
The eye of the daughter of the moon.
You recognize it?
Of course. The most beautiful thing in the world. Exquisite. Gorgeous. But very dangerous. Does the Chinese government know it's in this country?
I don't think so. They're searching for it. It was missing from the museum after the looting of Nanking.
I suppose you realize your life may be in danger.
My life is in danger.
When did this come?
The day before I obtained possession of the stone.
The day before.
That's the real reason I was so anxious to have you come here tonight.
Have you consulted the police?
No one.
Why don't you consult our friend Janny? As you know, he's a noted criminologist.
Ed Janney's in and out of here all the time. Practically one of the household. I prefer to consult someone who has a clearer perspective. That's why I sent for you.
I'll keep this. Odd. Arriving the day before. And you suspect no one?
I have made a statement which is contained in this envelope. It is to be opened if anything should happen to me. The name of the person I suspect is in here.
Missy, while you...
Very well, Singh. Absolutely trustworthy. He's devoted to me. Mrs. Edwards is going to play some sort of game downstairs. I think it's called Indications now. You know, you act out some sort of song, play, or picture.
Oh, yes, I remember. In England, we used to call them charades.
Yeah, that's the idea. I've been roped in to assist.
Attention, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to play indications. We'll act out 3 titles. 1, a song, a well-known song. 2, a book, a mystery book. And the 3rd, a movie, an extremely popular movie, I assure you. And there'll be a bottle of our very best champagne for the very clever person who guesses each one first.
My first appearance as a performer.
Oh.
Never mind the laugh. I expect to be very good.
Has Brandon been showing you some of the treasure trove he brought back from China?
Did he show you the beautiful manuscript he has of the legend of Wu Wang?
Well, no, I didn't know he had it.
Well, what do I do?
Oh, you play the part of your wife's lover.
My wife's lover. That's a novel twist.
Rather.
Well, what happens?
Her husband comes in, he finds you two together, and shoots you.
You know, I think you've got something there. Well, do I say anything?
Oh, yes, here are your lines.
Valeska, I love you. Who's the husband?
I am.
Valeska, I love you. Valeska. I'll bet you thought of that.
I did.
What ho, thespians, enter! Well, what is it?
4 men in the boat.
Oh, no. Come on now, try again. Oh, this is easy. Come on.
Sailing over the ocean way.
Well, you're getting warm. Someone else? Oh, I know. The vulgar boatman. Right. Mrs. Bolton wins the first bottle of champagne. Good champagne. Isn't that lovely? Oh.
About speech.
Oh, I never was so popular in my life.
Put it on ice.
And now, number 2, the mystery. No less persons than your host and hostess will play the leading roles in this one. Our play begins on the stroke of midnight.
What?
You shouldn't have come.
Why?
I had to see you.
I had to see you. Valerie, I love you. Valeska, I love you.
John, you mustn't. My husband may be awake.
Your husband is awake. What are you doing in my wife's arms? I mean, what's my wife doing in your arms?
We've been in love with each other for months.
Months and months.
It'll be fun to let you live and suffer, but as for him, die like a dog.
Now, guess. The eternal triangle. Not this time.
You lose.
Oh, no. Come. Put your thinking caps on.
Dead men tell no tales.
No, you're not even warm.
I've got it. Let's play murder.
No, that's out. I call on the eminent criminologist, Professor Janney.
Oh. Well, I should say it's, what?
What? Terrible, Professor. Oh, as a last resort. Will you make an effort, Mr. Wong?
Oh, I would suggest
Yes, yes.
murder comes at midnight.
That's it! Right? Come and get your champagne. And a bottle of soda pop for the professor. Mr. Wong, and you.
I drink my first toast to your excellent performance, in particularly that of our friend Edwards.
Did you hear that, Brandon? Get up and take a bow. Brandon, it's all over. Brandon.
His first appearance and his last.
Well, let me have her. I'll take her to her room. Then I'll call the police.
I'm afraid there has been an unfortunate accident. Your host is dead. Please do not disturb any... I would like to have a word with you two gentlemen, please.
Where's the telephone?
It's in on the table, sir.
You better get your mistress a glass of water.
Yes, sir.
Who suggested this particular playlet?
I did, Mr. Wong. I scribbled the dialogue, and I was to play the husband's part.
Why didn't you?
They needed me for another sketch, so I suggested Harrison.
Who loaded the gun?
Edwards. He loaded it with blanks. I sat right here and watched him.
And was the gun ever out of your possession after it was loaded?
Well, I don't think so. Edwards loaded it and examined it, then I examined it and put it in my pocket.
Yeah.
Open up. What happened?
Boss, there, up there.
Wait for the coroner.
Oh, Wong. I didn't expect to find you here.
I expected you, but not so soon.
Somebody phoned us about 20 minutes ago. Said it was a homicide.
Who phoned, did they say?
No. Why, is it important?
20 minutes ago, the victim was still alive.
Alive? Say, what goes on here?
Well, I'd hoped it was an accident. Now, I wonder.
How are you? Have you any smelling salts?
Yes, sir.
Val? Val? You all right?
Well, there was a party, as you see. And Mr. and Mrs. Edwards were giving a little playlet, in which this young man was supposed to shoot Edwards with this gun.
These are blanks.
Yes. He assures me that he saw Edwards load the gun himself with those blanks. And so far as he knows, the gun has not been out of his possession. But someone tampered with the gun, for the man is dead.
Was anybody else with you when this gun was loaded?
I was there.
Oh. Did you handle a gun?
No.
Maybe we better start this thing at the beginning. Were all these people here when this gun was fired?
Yes, we were all here.
What kept you so long?
I'm sorry, sir.
And we all thought it was just an amusing play until Mrs. Edwards told her husband to get up, and he didn't move.
Where's Miss Edwards?
She was taken to her room by Professor Janney.
Is he here?
Yes, he too is a guest at the party.
Well, the gathering of the clan. We three have worked together before.
That's right.
Let's talk to Miss Edwards. You two stick around. You ladies and gentlemen may go home. Leave your names and addresses with the officer at the door.
All right, folks. Line up out here and give me your names.
Make her more comfortable.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Street. How did you get here so soon?
Somebody phoned us, as far as I can gather, before the shooting occurred.
Amazing.
We'd like to talk to Mrs. Edwards.
Oh, please don't. Don't disturb her for a little while. She's half out of her mind. Utterly prostrate. I'm sure she knows nothing of this.
Well, maybe you can help us out. Where can we talk?
In here.
What's this?
Edwards' den.
Oh. Well, all we have to do is actually find out whether that young secretary knew there was a real bullet in that gun when he fired it.
Not quite as simple as that, Street. There are some very curious angles in this case. It's important to get the report from the ballistics department.
Why?
I just want to be sure that the bullet in Edwards' body really came from Harrison's gun.
Well, that's usual routine. Drop down early in the morning.
I will.
It's all very puzzling. Edwards and Harrison always seem to be on the best of terms.
Sing.
Yes, sir.
It's true, isn't it, that Mr. Edwards and Mr. Harrison were good friends?
Big fight yesterday.
You mean they had a fist fight?
No. Big talk. Loud talk.
Have you any idea what the quarrel was about?
No, sir.
Tell that policeman to bring Harrison in.
All right.
Fight, eh?
Hey. Where are you going?
I'm going to Mrs. Edwards' room.
Oh, are you?
They want to see you inside, Mr. Harrison.
Who?
Policeman.
All right, come on.
Sit down, Mr. Harrison. You had a quarrel yesterday with Edwards.
How did you know that?
Is it true?
Yes.
What'd you quarrel about?
I can't tell you.
You mean you refuse?
Yes.
I'll have to hold you as a material witness.
Which is the same as being under arrest, isn't it?
Practically. That's all. A night in jail will loosen his tongue.
I hope it'll be solved as easily as that.
I think I'll grill that bird myself. And if I don't get anywhere, I'll turn him over to the two foremost criminologists on the Pacific Coast.
You don't believe it was an accident?
Do you?
Well, so far, I've no reason to suspect otherwise.
I have. I've a very definite reason for suspecting foul play.
Really?
I didn't mention it to Street, but Edward showed me a sealed letter in his safe, which was to be opened in case of his death by violence.
You mean to say he had anticipated that an attempt would be made on his life? And he suspected someone?
Of course. That's what's in the letter.
You know, of course, that Edwards was unreasonably jealous of Valerie.
The singer?
Stroganoff, Harrison, half a dozen men in San Francisco. Valerie had many admirers. How do you propose to open the safe?
That may not be so easy a matter. Why, it's opened. And the letter's gone. The eye of the daughter of the moon.
The
Eye of the Daughter of the Moon? Do you mean of the Chu dynasty?
Yes.
But that's in the Imperial collection in Nanking.
No. It was lost in the looting of Nanking. Somehow or other, Edwards got possession of it. He showed it to me earlier this evening.
Heaven knows why that thing's worth. Oh, a fabulous sum.
Yes. Our friend had a taste for that sort of thing.
Then presumably, the person who stole the letter took the sapphire. We'd better tell the police.
By no means. We'd better not give our friend's treat too much to think about at once.
No, no.
I think you and I had better stay the night here.
Good. Let's have a look round before we turn in.
Yes.
What's the matter, Mr. Wong?
Why, nothing at all, Sing. Aren't you up rather late?
Me see light downstairs. Me come up look see.
Quite right, Sing. Quite right. I want you to go to the house of the Seven Brothers on Grant Street. Talk to Sun Yat. Ask him who in Chinatown sells this kind of paper, and to whom.
Very fine paper.
Yes, it's not the ordinary paper made from straw. It's from the rice paper tree. It may have come from Honan province.
This may not be easy.
Well, do the best you can.
This is a microphotograph of the fatal bullet taken from Edwards' body. I'll now fire a test shot with Harrison's gun. isn't it? They don't match. The fatal bullet was never fired with Harrison's gun.
I didn't think it was.
You'll notice the test bullet has none of the peculiar markings of the fatal bullet.
Could these peculiar markings, could they have been caused by a silencer?
Yes, perhaps.
Well, that's what happened in the Anderson case, you remember, Johnny?
Yes, yes.
I had a hunch it'd turn out this way when I got the coroner's report.
Well, by the way, does it say that the bullet traveled in a downward direction? That it was fired from a height?
Yeah. How'd you know?
Well, I found this last night in the balcony overlooking the stage.
That's a 38. That's the right caliber.
Then it was deliberate murder.
Yeah, and that's not all. Carlslake, that's Edwards' attorney's waiting in my outer office with a fine load of news. It seems that Edwards changed his will. And Carlslake was on the way to Edwards' house this morning to get his signature.
Hello,
Hello, Danny.
This is Mr. Wong. We're helping the police in the investigation.
Mr. Wong.
How do you do? Carlslake, it's been definitely proven that your client was not killed with a bullet that came from Harrison's gun. This is murder.
I'm not entirely surprised.
What do you mean by that?
Well, there was something wrong in that house. An atmosphere of approaching doom. I've felt it ever since Mr. Edwards returned from his recent trip to China.
Just how did the terms of the new will differ from the old ones?
Ordinarily, I'd consider this information as confidential. But Mr. Edwards altered his will, practically eliminating Mrs. Edwards from every benefit possible.
Disinherited Mrs. Edwards?
Practically, as much as was possible.
How about Singh, the butler? Just to what extent was he benefited by the new will?
Well, he'd been with Edwards for years. He had the largest legacy of all.
I wonder how much that Chinaman really knows.
For ways that are dark and tricks that are vain.
You know what I mean, Wong. I think the sooner we get out to Edwards' house and question everybody, the better.
Well, I think you should know that Edwards left a letter in his safe to be opened in the event of his death.
He did.
And when Johnny and I looked for it last night, it was gone.
How do you know Edwards didn't take it himself?
Edwards showed it to me just before we went downstairs. And as you know, he never came up again.
I think we better get out there right now.
Of course you realize that this definitely eliminates young Harrison.
Yeah, I'll release him. But I'm going to take him along for further questioning. He might be useful.
What is it, Singh?
Police downstairs.
They want to see me?
Want to see everybody.
Peter.
Valerie, tell the police we'll both be down shortly.
Peter, they released you.
Yes. They found that the bullet that killed your husband wasn't fired from my gun.
I knew you couldn't have done it, Peter.
Well, they're waiting. Let's go.
In other words, no one went up that stairway outside of Stroganoff.
That's right. He went in the playroom, poured himself out a drink.
Mr. Carslake.
How are you, Mrs. Edwards? Sit down, please.
Mrs. Edwards, inasmuch it's been definitely established that your husband was murdered, it opens up a new line of investigation. Have you any personal suspicions?
No. There's no one I suspect.
Have you any idea why your husband quarreled with your secretary, Mrs. Edwards?
I wasn't aware they had quarreled.
I think I can explain that, possibly. Harrison bitterly objected to the terms of the new will, which disinherited Mrs. Edwards.
Oh. So that's why you quarreled, eh?
Yes.
Didn't like the idea of him changing the will. You knew about it, and you knew about it. Did you know anything about it?
No.
And you, Mrs. Edwards?
No. But I'm not surprised.
Seems to me that it's a pretty good motive for murder. Getting rid of that man before he had a chance to sign it. That's all.
If you don't mind, Sergeant, I'd like to return to my office.
Thanks for coming.
One moment, please. How did you feel about the changing of this will?
Well, naturally, I was indignant. Mrs. Edwards is a lovely and charming lady. I thought Edwards was insane, and I didn't hesitate to tell him so. I quarreled with him as bitterly as anyone. In fact, I told him to get someone else to look after his legal affairs.
I didn't see you at the party last night.
Oh, I was invited, but at the last moment I decided not to come. I took a ride in my car alone.
And you live only a few doors from here.
Well, yes. Why?
I mean, we can get in touch with you easily if we need you.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Thank you. If I were you, Street, I'd have a few officers on duty here tonight.
I think you're right.
And Professor Janney and I have decided to spend the night here again.
Too much smoke.
On this felicitous occasion, the clouds of heaven congealed. The trees on the mountaintop.
Treasures of Wu Wei?
Yes, and a forgery.
Could be. Boss, he thought he had original, stolen from temple of ancestor. Those who profane their dwelling places, the gods destroy.
You know something, don't you? But you hold your tongue in more languages than one, my friend.
Michael, darling,
Oh, Drina,
I was so afraid you wouldn't come.
it wasn't so easy. We must be very careful.
I've been so worried about you.
Don't. Soon it will be all over.
I hope so. Where did you hide it?
What do you mean?
The jewel, of course.
But I haven't got it.
You were upstairs.
There were many who were upstairs.
Are you lying?
You mustn't say such things. You have no reason to doubt me.
Haven't I? We were to be married as soon as you reached America. That was 3 months ago.
Oh, but I explained to you that it would be detrimental to my career.
You know very well your career was only a blind.
But I didn't realize then the great possibilities this country offers.
Hello, Uncle. Thought you'd gone to bed.
I was just going to have a little drink before I do. You join me?
Why not?
I think I'm beginning to understand. You took the stone and you're trying to hold out on me.
You are crazy.
Not as crazy as you think. And I'd advise you to be careful.
Are you threatening me?
I found the letter in the safe that you overlooked.
What letter?
The letter that Edwards wrote, naming the one he suspected.
Who is it?
Wouldn't you like to know?
What are you going to do with it?
I'm going to spoil your plans and everyone else's in that house. I'm going to give it to the police.
And tell them that you stole it in the safe. Don't be silly.
All right, then. I'll mail it to Wong.
You are bluffing.
There's one way to find that out.
Why you come in front door? You go meet him, huh?
Hey, George, come on up here. Come on, quick, make it snappy. Come on. Come with me, come on.
There. Take a look at that. Now, what do you think of that? The door was open. There's someone in the house.
Who can tell? Maybe they made their getaway.
Well, come on. Let's count noses and find out.
Yeah.
Well, what's wrong?
There's a ladder by an open window in that room.
I think we better take a look, Johnny.
Come to the back door. Search the grounds. Knock on some doors. Get everybody up.
I don't understand that at all.
What? That our Mr. X should have to force an entrance into the house?
Or Mrs. X, or Miss X. Oh.
What's happened? Have you seen any stranger in the house? No.
Is something the matter?
Somebody either came in or went out. Is everybody here?
My maid Drina isn't here.
Maid. But where's her room?
This way. Miss! Come on, break it in.
She's dead.
Oh.
Hello. Place is all upset. Looks as if it's been searched. Say, aren't you going to call street?
Yeah, get them over here right away.
Right.
All right, folks, let's clear the room. You stay here, don't let anyone in or out until Street gets here.
Oh, handsome. I was just having a drink. Won't you join me?
Yes, I think I could stand one. Sing. Have we any scotch?
Yes, sir.
Oh, won't you join us for a drink, Mr. Wong?
Thank you, no. I would like a cigarette. Yes, thank you. I'll take another if I may. I'm all out. Good night.
Have you found something, Wong?
The envelope of the letter which Edwards left in his safe.
The letter?
No letter.
Where did you find it?
In the wastepaper basket in Drina's bedroom. I've always assumed that the murderer stole the letter from the safe. But somehow or other it fell into Drina's hands. So that she knew who killed Edwards. And she, in turn, poor girl, was killed herself.
Horrible. I wonder if the murderer has the letter now.
We'd all feel safer if we knew. But in any event, whoever has it or finds it later is obviously in great danger. Don't you think so, Johnny?
Indeed, yes.
Oh, there's our friend, Street, now.
I'm plenty sore about the whole thing. I take every possible precaution. And what happens? Somebody gets in the house and kills that girl right under our very nose. When the newspapers get a hold of this, they'll tear the police department apart. I left strict instructions for every door and window in this house to be locked. How'd that window get open?
I was going through some of Edward's Chinese manuscripts in the den. I'd smoked a good deal. Singh came in and opened the window.
Why didn't you close it afterwards?
Me forget.
Oh, you did, eh? You sure you didn't arrange to leave that open for someone?
Room full of bad air. Me open window. Me forget to close him.
Does anybody know what this girl was doing all evening?
She go outside. She come in front door. Me see her.
Are the servants in the habit of coming in through the front door?
That's what I asked her.
What was she doing outside?
She go meet him.
Oh. Did she?
Yes. She was on her way to mail a letter when we met.
Oh, just an accident, eh?
No, it was prearranged. She wanted to see me.
What did you talk about?
A purely personal matter.
Oh, discussing personal matters now, the servants, eh? How well do you know this girl?
We were friends in Shanghai.
Just friends?
When she learned that I'm coming to the States with Mrs. Edwards, she persuaded her to take her also.
Was she a maid in China?
She was a dancer in a cafe in a foreign settlement.
Did Mrs. Edwards know that her maid was your sweetheart?
No. But what has that to do with the investigation?
Might have a lot to do with it. Now, what was the personal matter you were discussing last night?
She was insisting on us getting married.
And if you refused?
She was threatening to cause a terrific scandal.
Oh. Did you believe that she'd actually do this thing?
I did not, and I told her so.
Then what happened?
She got very angry, and she left.
You say she was on her way to mail a letter, Mr. Stroganoff?
Yes.
And did she mail the letter?
I don't know.
Do you happen to know to whom the letter was addressed?
No, I haven't seen the address.
How'd you get back in the house?
Through a French window. I left it purposely open.
You sure you didn't climb a ladder and get back in the house that way?
Quite sure.
All right. You may all go to your rooms. That is all except Mr. Stroganoff. He's telling the truth. The next step is to find out how much he forgot to tell us.
You really think he knows something?
Sure. And I know something. Whoever killed Edwards and that girl is on these premises right now.
Well, I'm quite sure of it.
Why?
Well, somebody took a shot at me.
A shot? When?
Well, earlier in the evening, I was outside. I was trying to make a cast of the footprint at the base of the ladder.
We never heard any shot.
Of course not. He used a silencer. And that's why we didn't hear the shot that killed Edwards.
Yeah, but you shouldn't take those chances, Wong.
No, it's perfectly all right. He missed.
The more I think of it, the more I think he knows more than he's telling us.
You think he killed his sweetheart to shut her up, eh?
Sure. When she threatened to talk. I think I'll take Stroganoff down to headquarters. Get him ready, George. You know, he claims to be a singer. All right, I'll make him sing.
Hello? What the function now? All right, all right.
You say you came in through the French windows?
That's correct.
Where'd you go?
Upstairs to my room.
And how do you account for the fact that the policeman on duty in the hallway didn't see you go up the stairs?
I went up the back stairs.
Oh, to talk to the maid, huh?
Yes.
Did you see her?
No, I knocked at the door, and there was no answer.
Then where'd you go?
To my room and to bed.
Oh.
Senyat say paper bought from China by Kong Lee Company. They sell paper to very few people. Here list of them who buy some.
Sutter, 0661.
Yes?
Mr. Wong? About the letter, Mr.
My hat and umbrella.
Straight's office. Yeah, right here.
Hello. Wong speaking. I'm afraid something's happened at the Edwards house.
I'll be in front of your house with a squad car in 10 minutes. Come on, Devlin.
Open up!
Bring it in. Out like a light. Somebody hit him on the head. Look around and see what you can find. Phone the ambulance. You said you were talking to him on the phone. Did you hear any other voices?
No, I just heard a commotion and what might have been the sound of a falling body. So I called you immediately.
The wagon's on its way.
There's not a sign of anyone down here, Chief.
Nobody out there?
Check the upstairs. Look around the grounds.
Yeah. Don't you feel better with that little walk?
Yes, thank you, Ed. It was very nice.
Stay. Sit. Street. Wong, what is this?
What's happened? Have they killed him?
No, he's only knocked out.
Why? What's it all mean? Oh!
Where have you three been?
In the grounds, walking in the rose garden. I insisted that Valerie go out and get some fresh air, and we took Harrison along with us. It was my suggestion. But when did this happen? We haven't been out of the house in half an hour. Oh, much less than half an hour. That's right, isn't it, Harrison?
Yes. Have you been together all the time?
Yeah.
Well, yes, of course. Well, there's one thing I'm sure of. Stroganoff didn't do this, because he's been with me. The letter. That's the one thing I got out of Stroganoff. That letter was intended for you.
Yes, it was. Singh was speaking of it when he was struck down.
Letter? Please, please, what letter?
It's a letter written by your late husband, containing the name of the person he suspected, to be opened after his death in the event of foul play.
Then he did know.
Evidently, the assailant thought Singh had the letter with him.
See if it's on him, boys.
It's not necessary. I talked to Singh earlier in the day. And the letter is in the mail. It'll be in my hands in a very few hours.
You expect a visitor?
I'm expecting a visitor or two.
Oh.
You'd better stand by the door. Admit anyone who comes.
Right.
Why, good evening, Mrs. Edwards.
The letter. Have you received it?
Do sit down.
Have you opened it?
Allow me to offer you some tea.
Who was it? Whom did my husband suspect?
He suspected the one who hated him.
My husband had many enemies.
Is it possible that that could include young Harrison?
No. No.
Do sit down.
Good evening.
Good evening. Is Mr. Wong in?
Yes.
Then the real reason for your being here is that you're afraid his name might be in your husband's letter. Is that it? Why, Harrison, we were just speaking of you.
Val.
Peter, why did you come here?
But for the same reason you did.
Is it possible you both have an identical interest in the contents of this letter?
Mr. Wong, 2 more men come.
I told you to admit anyone who came. Excuse me a moment.
Sorry to be so late, but I met Stroganoff. He wanted to know where you lived, so I brought him along. Hello, Val. Harrison?
I came to ask you, Mr. Wong, not to open that letter until I have a chance to tell you certain things.
That your name is not Stroganoff, but Petrovich? That you knew that Edwards had obtained possession of the Eye of the Daughter of the Moon? That you and the maid Drina won his confidence and came to America with him to get the stone, even if you had to kill him?
Aren't you assuming too much, Mr. Wong?
That remains to be seen. In the meantime, please be comfortable.
Thank you.
But what am I indebted for this?
I couldn't help thinking of what you said about my living so near the Edwards. Now, if you think for one moment that I had anything to do with this, why, Mrs. Edwards, if you contemplate making a statement of any sort, I must insist, as your attorney, that you first consult me.
Well, surely you don't think that Mrs. Edwards might incriminate herself. Now, I submit that we are all here for one purpose, to identify the murderer of Brandon Edwards. Now, this letter, stolen from his safe and subsequently mailed to me, contains the name of the suspect.
May I see the letter? Well, why not open it?
I'm afraid it's not quite as easy as that. As we all know, Edwards had a great many enemies, and it'd be grossly unfair to cast suspicion on a possibly innocent person until we have sifted all the facts.
But what are your deductions to this point?
Edwards could have been murdered for 2 widely different reasons. The first and most obvious one, of course, is the theft of the Eye of the Daughter of the Moon. My first thought was that possibly the Far East, friends of China, had struck to recover what was rightfully theirs. But my countrymen here, who are in a position to know, assure me that that is not true. So then we come to Mr. Stroganoff, whose sole purpose in coming to America was to steal the stone.
But, Mr. Wong, how possibly could the murder of Edwards help me to gain possession of this stone, which was locked in the safe in an entirely different part of the house?
My dear Mr. Stroganoff, we have arrived at exactly the same conclusion. So I'm afraid we must discard the theory of the stone altogether.
Then you don't think the murder was committed to obtain possession of the stone?
That was not the paramount purpose.
You remember, of course, Street uncovered the fact that the will was changed and Edwards was killed before he signed it.
Ah, there we come to the second, perhaps the stronger motive. In that event, who would be the interested parties? Of course, it would be Mrs. Edwards and young Harrison, whose devotion to his employer's wife was obvious. But the report of the Department of Ballistics proves that the bullet was not fired from Harrison's gun. And Mrs. Edwards was standing alongside of her husband at the moment that the shot was fired from the balcony overlooking the stage. So, could they have had an accomplice? Carslake has admitted to quarreling violently with Edwards over the terms of the new will. But then again, Street's investigation corroborates his story that he did go for a drive that night and was nowhere near the house at the time of the murder. Well, I confess that I am completely at a loss, and at no small cost to my professional pride. I shall have to seek the solution in this letter, unless you will come to my rescue, Janny, and tell me why you killed Edwards.
My dear Wong, surely you're not serious.
I'm sorry, Janny. I was never more serious in my life.
But my dear Wong,
You made so many mistakes.
Mistakes?
The theft of the jewel misled me for a while. But why the warning note? Or the very paper on which it was written, the type of rice paper rarely found in this country, was easily traced to your university, where it's used in the repairing of ancient manuscripts.
Yes. That was a mistake.
Then you went out of your way to draw my attention to the manuscript of Wu Wang, an obvious forgery, which you had encouraged Edwards to buy, so I felt sure you weren't his friend. Then came the question of motive. And when I discovered that Edwards' first wife was your sister, and you had watched him drive her to a suicide's grave, I was certain that you had every reason to hate him.
Yes, that's true. He drove my sister Mary to her death. I was sure of it. He knew of my conviction because I warned him at the time of his marriage to Valerie. That was my great mistake. You know, of course, Valerie married him to save her father from going to prison. Well, for 3 years I stood quietly by and watched him pursuing the same tactics, using the same insidious cruelties against her that he'd used against my sister. When I heard he was going to disinherit her, then I made up my mind to remove him.
I see. And poor Drina, the autopsy showed she died of poisoned smoke inhaled into her lungs. I can't
Believe me, my dear Wong, I would have saved her if I could. Her death is the one thing in all this sorry business that I regret.
No, Johnny. They're both the same, aren't they?
Wong. I've traced the source of that poison, but I can't find the man that bought it.
Here's your man.
Janny?
Goodbye, Wong. Congratulations.
I'm sorry, Johnny.
Shall we go street? It's getting late and I haven't slept for a week.
Kind of breaks up a nice combination, doesn't it? All right, folks, that's all.
Good night, Mr. Wong.
The letter?
Oh, yes.
Why, it hasn't even been opened. It's blank paper.
Well, I was in rather an embarrassing position when the real letter mailed by Singh failed to arrive. However, that served its purpose.
How did you tie Johnny into that Edwards shooting?
I happen to remember that when the lights were out, he left me for a few moments. I then found he'd have had time to get to the balcony and back. So when I was fired at later on in the garden by a gun also equipped with a silencer, it wasn't difficult to put the two together, providing we could find a motive for Johnny, which unfortunately we did. For once again, Street, I must say that but for your valuable assistance, I couldn't have solved the case.
Thanks, Wong. I'll put that in the report.
Good night.
Good night.
Messenger just bring letter. Important?
Not now.
I get you some fresh tea.
No, I don't want any tea tonight. You're going on a very important errand for me.
Yes?
You're taking back to China something that belongs there.
Is Mr. Wong at home?
Yes.
Could I see him?
Your name, please?
No name.
Name, please.
Tell Mr. Wong someone wants to see him. Someone who needs his help. Could I come in?
No. You wait here. A lady to see you.
A lady?
Very important, he said.
Say I'll be right in.
Mr. Wong comes soon.
Dead. She be sitting here?
Yes.
You call Inspector Street.
Mr. Wong wishes to speak to Inspector Street.
Just a minute. On your phone, Captain.
Wong speaking. There's been a murder in my house, Street.
What? I'll be right out. Get a squad car, Jake.
I'll be at Wong's.
All right. Hello, Wong. Well, this is the payoff. Murder in the house of Mr. Wong. Now we've seen everything. Who is she?
I haven't the least idea. But the crest on her ring belongs to the Sen Wang Ti family. She's evidently a person of high degree.
Where were you when this happened?
I was in the laboratory when she arrived. She told Willie that she had to see me. But then when I came in, she was dead. She just had time to scribble this. Captain J.
Captain J, huh? Hey, what's that?
I suspect that's a poison dart that was fired right from that window.
Oh, a blowgun. Dacoits. You know, South American jungle.
No, that dart's too heavy for that. That was fired from a Chinese sleeve gun. I have one in my room. I'll show it to you.
How does it work?
You press the spring back so. It's clasped round the forearm and released with the slightest pressure. Simple, isn't it?
Yeah, simple and deadly. Who's that?
I've no idea.
Give me Bargain, quick.
How did you get in here?
Look here, Bill Street, what are you trying to pull?
How did you get in here?
Through the window.
How did you know I was here?
I followed you here.
Take it easy.
Oh, look here, Bill. This is one of the biggest stories that's cracked in a long time. I've simply got to get it to my paper.
How do you know it's a big story?
Well, Princess Linois murdered in the house of Mr. Wong. You boy!
Sorry, Wong. This is more or less of a personal row. This is Miss Roberta Logan of the Morning Herald, and probably San Francisco's greatest nuisance.
Oh, that isn't what you called me last night when we were having dinner.
That has nothing to do with the newspaper or the police department.
Don't you ever try to date me up again, Mr.
I
Street.
won't.
Good.
I believe I heard you identify this girl as the Princess Linois.
Yeah, what do you know about her?
Oh, I'd be a bright little girl, wouldn't I, to help out your half-witted department after being treated in this fashion.
Look, Bobby, I'll see that you get a break on this.
Won't you please help us, Miss Logan?
For a gentleman, yes. She arrived from China on the Maid of Orient 2 or 3 weeks ago.
My files, Willie.
I tried to interview her on the boat.
I think I remember.
It was on the 22nd. Oh, now it's you.
There we are. Captain James.
Captain James. Captain J. That's the last thing she wrote before she died. Say, the sooner we see this bird, the better.
Yes, I'd very much like to interview this Captain James. Oh, Miss Logan, by any chance did you know where the princess lived?
Yes, she had an apartment in Chinatown. 1432 Grand Avenue.
Thank you. That's our next stop.
Come on, Wong. Oh, you're not going. Get Jim.
Gonna do? Will you let me go? Well, stop this, you big bad. You're not gonna leave me chained up like
I
this.
certainly am, baby, till we can search that apartment. I don't want flashlight bulbs all over the place. Get the coroner and photographers up here, and don't let her near a phone till you hear from me. Come on, Wong.
Bill Street, you're the most loathsome human being I've ever encountered. You big bad bone. Yeah!
What do you want to see?
To the police. Captain James aboard?
Yes, sir.
I'm Captain Street of the San Francisco Police. This is Mr. James Lee Wong.
How do you do, gentlemen? What can I do for you?
You had a passenger on your last trip, a Princess Linois.
Yes, that's right.
Why was she traveling on this kind of a boat?
Well, we have a few passenger accommodations. We booked passage for her at the request of her brother.
Where's he?
He's in northern China. Field Marshal Chang Sai.
The Sen Wang Ti family?
That's the family, sir, yes.
What was she doing in this country?
Sightseeing, I imagine. This is her first trip to America, I understand.
And her last. She was murdered an hour ago.
The princess murdered? Well, this will be a great shock to her brother.
Have you any idea who might have done this? Could one of your passengers have had a motive?
Not that I know of.
What type of passenger were you carrying?
Well, we had a few returning missionaries, a commercial traveler or two, one or two tourists, but she didn't mingle very much with them.
Have you left the boat in the past few hours?
No, I haven't, sir.
Have you a crew and passenger list you could let me have?
I certainly have.
Sorry to have bothered you, Captain, and thank you.
Not at all.
He never batted an eye, did he? We'll check up on him at headquarters.
Well, who are they?
Police.
What? Isn't one of them Chinese?
Yeah, it's a Chinese detective.
What do they want?
Well, you ought to know what they want.
What do you mean?
Of course, you don't know the princess was murdered.
Murdered?
Yeah. What did you kill her for, Jackson?
Are you crazy? Well, I haven't seen the princess since, well, yesterday afternoon.
Did you get a check?
Yes.
How much?
$250,000.
And my share? Now, look here, Jackson. I'm in this thing as deep as you are. She chartered the ship for the airplanes. I put her in touch with you, told her you'd flown as an aviator with her brother in China. I planned this whole deal.
All right, I know it. You'll get your share.
Where is the money?
It's in the bank.
I'll see you there at 10 o'clock in the morning.
All right.
Pretty clever, Jackson, killing the princess.
Yeah, no witnesses to say whether the planes were delivered or not, or where the money went? You're a pretty clever guy, Jamie. Good night.
This is the place. Check those apartments, Joe.
Yes. I think this one is Open Street.
Anybody in there?
See if you can find anything with the princess's name on it.
Well, somebody's here or has been here. Perhaps this should have been our first stop.
Yeah. Check that closet, Jerry.
Wong!
Poor kid's out cold. Bobby. Bobby.
Well, did you catch him?
Catch who?
Well, the man that slugged me.
Say, if somebody slugged you, I'd give him a medal. A suitcase fell on your head.
Oh,
How'd you get loose?
the nice man that you left to guard me went to get me a drink of water. Wasn't that sweet of him? Arm of the chair came off easy.
How did you get in here?
Took the key out of the princess's purse.
I'm afraid, Street, we must accept the inevitable.
Yeah. What were you doing in the closet?
Well, there was a man in here.
A man?
Well, sure, he was searching the desk.
What did he look like?
He was masked.
That's our murderer. Can't you give us any kind of a description?
Well, he was fairly tall, looked athletic, and he wore dark glasses.
Wonderful. That's a help. Did you see where he went?
How could I when I was knocked out?
Street.
All right, put down that gun. This is the police.
The police? What do you want?
Don't be alarmed. We just want to ask you a few questions. Who are you?
Oh, come on. What's your name?
I know her.
Oh. All right, who is she?
She was on the boat with the princess.
As her maid?
I am her companion.
Oh, so you were in her confidence.
Yes. Oh, no, no.
Now, don't be afraid. Why did she come to this country?
I don't know anything.
Nobody knows anything.
Well, at least you can remember what time she left here.
Oh, about 8 o'clock tonight.
And where was she going?
What has happened to her?
Oh, you expect something to happen to her, huh? You knew something was going to happen.
No. Tell me, please.
She's dead. Murdered.
Now, all we are doing is just to try to help you. Who came to see her here? Who were her friends?
She had no visitors. She made appointments. They were always downtown.
You mean nobody came here to see her?
No one, except...
Wait a minute. Who are you looking for?
He can hear, but he cannot talk. He is dumb.
Oh, you know him.
Yes.
Has he been up here to see the princess?
Yes.
Come on. Where does he live?
In the basement.
Would you please ask him where he just came from?
I can't speak his dialect. He is from northern China, her province.
Can you tell him that the princess is dead?
I'll try. Dinhua.
Well, he understood that all right. Look. Did you see anybody come in and go over there? What am I doing? Come here.
you do that? A car was waiting in the alley. A large car. A large black car.
Hey, what is this?
Wait a minute, Street. He means it was a man about your size. He was masked, and he wore glasses.
What'd I tell you? Mask, glasses? Now will you believe me?
Well, this isn't getting us anywhere. Jerry, you stay here till I get back. Don't let either one of them leave.
No, no. Don't leave me. I'm afraid.
Now, there's nothing to be afraid of. I'll have a man on guard outside your door the whole time.
I'm going out the station and check on that car, and also the little fella's story. Maybe he's telling the truth, and maybe he's not.
Yeah. I'll see you later, Street. There's somebody in Chinatown I'd like to talk to first.
Oh, Bill, do you mind dropping me at the paper?
No, how do you feel?
Oh, fine. Of course, I'm a little dizzy.
You telling me.
The Honorable Wong is here on personal business or in his official capacity?
I am here on behalf of the police. The honorable men perhaps know the Princess Lin Hua? She was murdered an hour ago.
It is perhaps wise that we should open our hearts to you. The princess was in this country to make purchases for her brother.
Of war material?
Aeroplanes.
I see.
Her death means that a great project has failed. The resources of this town are at your command.
Jerry? Anything to report?
No, sir. Everything's as quiet as a mouse.
Good. you sure nobody got in past you?
Yeah, I was right outside the door.
Well, did anybody leave?
Who? The little guy. Not a sign of him.
Send for Street at once.
Hello. Yes, Jerry. What? The maid? I'll be right out.
Death was instantaneous.
Same as the princess.
And by the same hand.
That must be a powerful poison.
We weren't able to identify it in the other case, but after I've made this autopsy, we may know. Good night, gentlemen.
Oh, you think it came from here, huh? That's where he said the car was. Hey, the little guy's footprints. Well, get this. Certainly it came from here. Nobody but the little fella or a monkey could go down that drain pipe. He's our man.
You may have been making it possible for somebody else.
Oh, why get involved? Let's check his room in the basement. Jerry. Have Forbes get a cast of that print.
Yes, sir.
This is it. Where'd you get that?
There.
Well, that cinches it. That pins it on the little guy definitely. What are we waiting for?
Just a minute, Street. He may be the killer, but I found out tonight that the princess was here buying airplanes that would have to be smuggled out of the country.
Yeah? Oh, and the Maid of the Orient.
More than likely. I think we'd better talk to Captain James again.
Sure. I'll talk to him the first thing in the morning. But you'll have to admit that the little fella couldn't smuggle airplanes. But he could climb up on a window and use his sleeve gun. And he's just the kind of a guy they'd hire to do their killing. They're not fooling me. Furthermore, I think that dumb act is a gag.
Yes?
Mr. James Lee Wong, to see Mr. Davidson, please.
Mr. James Lee Wong to see you. Yes, sir. Won't you come in, please?
Thank you.
How do you do, Mr. Wong? Now, what can I do for you?
I'm investigating the murder of the Princess Linois.
Oh, yes, I read about it.
I was hoping you could be of some assistance to me.
I'd be perfectly willing to do anything I can. Won't you sit down?
Thank you so much. I understand that she was a depositor in your bank.
Quite a large depositor.
A large depositor?
Yes. When the princess arrived from the Orient, she carried with her drafts on the Exchange Bank of Hancock for almost $1 million. She has cashed those drafts.
Really?
The first sum I recall she withdrew was a day or so after she arrived. It was for $250,000, a cashier's check.
That check, of course, can be traced.
Yes. It was drawn in the favor of a Captain Jackson, who identified himself as the San Francisco representative of the Phelps Aviation Company of Los Angeles. Now, you bring me the file of the Princess Linois, please.
This Captain Jackson, did he cash the check himself?
No, as a matter of fact, after he identified himself, he opened an account and deposited the check to his own credit. Thank you. This is the Jackson check.
Oh, yes, thank you. Oh, evidently his office is in the Bronson building on Broad Street.
I understand it is. Perhaps he could be of some assistance to you.
No doubt. I take it from this that she still has a considerable sum of money on deposit with you.
Well, her canceled checks that she signed in English and Chinese show that she drew out large amounts almost daily till she had about $38,000 left. That balance she drew out yesterday in cash and left here with the money.
Extraordinary proceeding. Do you know if she had any dealings with anybody else besides Captain Jackson?
Well, nothing she ever said would indicate that she had any negotiations of any kind. Of course, I guessed that the princess wasn't engaged in sightseeing.
That's obvious. Have you the original draft that she presented?
Yes, I think I have. Yes, here it is.
Oh, yes. Also signed in English and in Chinese.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Oh, by the way, her file would be available to the police department in the event that they should want to...
Oh, in a criminal case like this, the police have access to the records of the bank at all times.
Thank you so much.
Not at all.
I may call on you later.
At any time, Mr. Wong. Good day.
Good day, sir. Drive me to the Bronson building on Broad Street.
Follow that cab.
I don't know why you were trailing me, but I'm certainly very grateful.
Well, the K Cab Company isn't allowed to operate anymore. They were put out of business 3 months ago. I covered the story.
Oh, that driver?
He ducked down this way. Say, you won't go away till I come back.
No, indeed.
Hello? City desk? An attempt was made on the life of James Lee Wong, well-known Chinese detective, shortly before noon today, when he was rescued from a light sedan, camouflaged as a taxi, just before a bomb exploded in its interior. The rescue was effected by Miss Roberta Logan, reporter on the staff of the Herald. Yeah, that's right. No, I'm not kidding.
What's the matter here? Oh, hello, Wong. What happened?
Evidently somebody arranged a little surprise for me.
Certainly looks like it. That's the real thing.
And if it hadn't been for Miss Logan here, I'd have been...
You certainly would have.
The driver ran down the alley. He's blocks away now.
Get on it, Steve. Come on, folks, that's all.
Oh, I'd be glad to take you where you're going if you'd care to ride with me.
I'd certainly feel much safer.
Yes?
Mr. Wong to see you.
Who?
Mr. James Lee Wong.
Oh. Well, send him in just a moment. I'll buzz you. How do you do, Mr. Wong?
Very nice of you to see me, Captain Jackson.
Won't you sit down? Cigarette?
Thanks, I will.
I've been anticipating this interview ever since I read the newspaper reports that the princess was murdered in your apartment.
You realized, of course, that we would trace the check.
Well, we were engaged in some rather delicate negotiations.
The sale of some airplanes, I believe.
She would naturally come to me. Her brother, Chang Sai, head of an army of one of the 5 provinces, was one of the best friends I ever had. I flew a plane his last campaign.
Really?
Yes. I met the princess at the boat. Mr. Wong, I'd just as well make a clean breast of the whole thing. We were to secretly ship some airplanes to China.
On the Maid of Orient? And when did you see the princess last?
Well, I talked to her 2 days ago. We had an appointment to meet the night she was murdered. We were to meet in the lobby of the Palace Hotel where she was to turn over my second payment. But she didn't keep the appointment.
And she gave no excuse or explanation?
I never heard from her. My first intimation was the shock I received when I read the morning papers.
Yes. It had occurred to me, you know, that the cause of her death could be found in the fact that she was secretly buying airplanes.
Well, I thought of that too, Mr. Wong. You see, the cause of Chang Sai has many enemies. His safety is threatened not only by other powers, but by many other army leaders.
And, of course, San Francisco is filled with their agents.
Naturally. As you can imagine, this situation is distinctly embarrassing to me. I'd made commitments for a great deal of airplane equipment. And to put it bluntly, I am left holding the bag.
Well, I'm obliged to you, Captain Jackson.
Goodbye, Mr. Wong. I'll be delighted to help you in any way that I can.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Good day.
Anything new?
I left a report on your desk.
What's this report? Well, get this, Jerry. An attempt on Wong's life. Taxi. Bomb exploded. Hauled out a cab by Roberta Logan of the Herald. Anything can happen with that Logan around. Where's Wong now?
He took the girl and drove away in a cab.
Well, if he's with her, you better drag the bay. Well, I suppose you came in for your Carnegie Medal.
I already have a drawer full of them, Inspector.
Where'd you pick up that cab, Wong?
I got it just in front of the Specie Bank of Hankow, where the princess has a large sum of money on deposit. But she's drawn it all out recently.
Say.
Hey, wait a minute. There's a phone in the drugstore.
Will you give me a nickel?
Gladly.
Thank you.
Well, now that we've gotten rid of her, what's the real lowdown?
Well, let's hear your news first, Street.
Well, not much. I've picked up half the suspicious characters in Chinatown. Oh, the little fella, I haven't got him yet, but I'll have my hands on him any minute.
Splendid, Street. Now, in the meantime, I'd like you to get me a report on the Phelps Aviation Company from the Los Angeles department.
Oh, that's a cinch. I'll have it out to your house tonight.
Thank you, Street. See you then.
Yeah. Hello, Bailey. Get me the Los Angeles Police Department. Yeah. Hold it. Wait a minute. I'll call you back. What's the idea of busting in here?
Will you lend me another nickel?
I just gave you one. What'd you do with it?
Apple Annie?
Apple Annie. Here. All right.
What did you want with the Los Angeles Police Department?
You'll never know.
Oh, now look here, Bill. Why don't you play fair with me? You'd be in a pretty pickle right now if it weren't for me. Wong murdered. What would the chief and the commissioner say? They'd want to know why you didn't have him tailed, protected. That's what I was doing. I thought of that.
Where did you get that idea?
Oh, it was just a hunch.
Look here, Logan. Are you holding out on me? Do you know something that I don't know?
That wouldn't have to be much.
Boy, you little shrimp. Scram. All right, get me Bailey again. Hello, Wong. Well, I've searched the whole town. The little fella's disappeared.
Still no trace of him.
I've checked every hotel in Chinatown, every rooming house. I've watched the waterfronts, the trains, the boats. He's vanished.
Well, in view of his lack of size and the fact that he's dumb, I don't understand why you can't find him.
Oh, you don't? Well, I've had the smartest men in the department looking for him, and they can't trace him. Don't you think I know that he's an answer to a lot of questions?
How about the report on that aviation company that I asked for?
Oh, that's a fake. They got an old hangar in Glendale they use for a mailing address. Sewers, drain pipes, manholes. Can you imagine me tracing the little fellow through a sewer?
A fake. And yet Captain Jackson was supposed to meet the princess in the lobby of the Palliser Hotel the night she was murdered to receive a large sum of money from her.
Palliser Hotel. Yeah, that's where James stands.
Captain James, James Jackson. Captain Why haven't you had the hotel watched?
What do you think I've been doing? I got a man on every floor, a sergeant behind the desk, and 2 of the bellboys are working for me. What do you want me to do, move in too?
My dear Street, I give you my solemn word, I am not deaf.
As long as you're getting technical, Mr. Wong, the girl was killed in your house, not mine. You had a sleeve gun in there that could have done it. Technically, I should arrest you.
I think you're right.
Oh, cut it out, Wong. I'm only kidding. I'm all in. I've been up for 2 days and 2 nights and no sleep. The commissioner's on my neck and that girl's in my hair. I'm just getting punchy. Punchy. Yeah, that's it. That's the only place I haven't looked for the little fella, in a punchboard hole.
Willie, a cup of tea for the inspector. Quickly.
Tea! That's all I need. Good night.
I'd like to see Mr. Davidson.
What is his name, please?
James Lee Wong.
James Lee Wong to see Mr. Davidson. All right. Okay. All right, get back. Get back. Come here, bud. Come here.
Come in, sir.
Right in here, Mr. Wong. How do you do, Mr. Wong?
How do you do, Mr. Davidson?
I hope my dogs didn't annoy you, Mr. Wong. They've been rather getting out of hand of late.
Well, they gave me a rather hearty reception, to say the least.
Well, I'm sorry I have to keep such vicious watchdogs, but our bank being of international character and the trouble in the Far East and the large Oriental population here, one has to be rather careful.
I quite understand.
You have a drink?
Thank you.
Scotch or bourbon?
Scotch, please. But no ice.
I see. You know, I rather hoped I'd see you soon again, Mr. Wong. I'm rather interested in this case. By the way, the canceled checks were returned to me this morning.
Yes. Thank you. And they were most interesting. In fact, they're my only excuse for this intrusion on your privacy. It had occurred to me that it might have been an impostor who withdrew the money, and not the princess at all.
Of course, anything is possible, Mr. Wong. But I wouldn't like to think that I've been fooled.
Well, I hope you're right.
What did you find out from Captain Jackson?
He was negotiating with the princess for the sale of some airplanes.
I suspected that much. You know, her brother's army is notoriously shy in air power. By the way, where are the airplanes? What's happened to them?
That I don't know.
But he cashed rather a large check, which was no doubt a first payment. What's to be done about that?
Well, at the moment, we're only interested in discovering the murderer of the Princess Lenoir and her maid.
Is Captain Jackson one of your suspects?
I can say this much. Inspector Street has some extremely strong views on that point.
Really? Oh, pardon me just a moment. Hello? Oh, yes, Mr. Holly. Yes, I want quite a nice headstone. Oh, I see. Well, suppose you get some nice designs together within the next few days, and you and I'll go over them together. Yes? Well, thank you very much. Goodbye. I just have to bury one of my dogs in the local pet cemetery.
Oh. He was also a Great Dane?
Yes, but he got a bit too vicious. Bit the gardener, and I had to dispose of him.
Well, I mustn't detain you any longer.
Oh, must you really go?
I'm afraid so, yes.
Oh, well, be sure and let me know of any new developments.
Indeed, I will.
Another drink?
Thank you, no. I'm afraid I've taken up too much of your time as it is.
Oh, not at all. Don't fail to call on me if I can be of any help at all.
Thank you, I will.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Oh, Burton. Yes, sir. Hear those dogs?
Yes, sir.
Tell John to turn them loose.
Yes, sir.
All right, get him up. All right, turn around. Get going.
Leave it alone. Now talk and talk fast. Where's the rest of the princess's money?
She drew it out.
Quit stalling.
Well, there's a large check drawn to Jackson's account. I know
Sure
that.
there is. But where's the rest of it?
Wong, the detective, examined all the canceled checks. Why don't you ask him about it?
Good suggestion. Where's your telephone?
Well, there's one in this room here.
Now get on that phone. Call up Wong.
The number is Major 4782.
Well, what'll I tell him?
Tell him you want here right away. Tell him to send a car for him.
Oh, Mr. Wong? This is Davidson talking. Could you possibly come and see me this evening?
Why, of course, Mr. Davidson. I should be delighted to come. It's very kind of you. How soon will the car be here? Thank you so much.
Mr. Davison! Mr. Davison, something terrible has happened. The dogs...
Stay where you are. Who's this man?
My butler.
What's Davidson?
That settles him. I took care of the dogs and locked their keeper in the garage.
Good. Now go down and pick up Wong. We made Davidson phone him. He's expecting you.
Okay, yeah.
Hello, Bill. What's new? I need the story for the Bulldog edition.
I've got nothing.
Don't tell me that. Did you hear from Wong?
No, I've been trying to get him myself all day. Hello. Who, the commissioner? Okay, Brady. All right, scram. Get out of here. The commissioner's on his way in.
Well, let me stay.
I said get out.
Well, hello, Miss Logan.
How are you, Commissioner?
Let me congratulate you on that smart piece of work with regard to Mr. Wong. If it hadn't been for you, we'd be minus the services of our Chinese friend.
Oh, thank you, sir.
I hope the department has been properly appreciative of the service you render them. I imagine the members of this force don't fully recognize the aid and assistance they get from the newspapers of the city.
Oh, that's really awfully kind of you.
Well, if you ever decide to quit the newspaper game, we can use brains like yours.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Hello, Commissioner.
Street, just what is the department doing in the case of the Chinese princess?
Well, everything we can, sir. I'm sure we'll break the case in a couple of hours.
I certainly hope so.
Lovely evening.
Yeah.
We certainly could use brains like yours.
Beat it.
Nice man, the commissioner.
Beat it, I said. Get out of here.
Jealous, huh?
Hello. Wong? Yeah, I thought you'd phone.
Well, Street, I think the case is just about solved.
No, really? Well, that's fine.
I'm going out to Davidson's now. I'd like you to join me there later.
Sure. All right, Wong. Yeah, good night.
Well, what is it? Something's up.
Oh, you're crazy. It's just a routine check.
Oh, Bill, you know I need that story.
I'll give you the story when I have anything to tell you. Here's a burglary up on Benton Road.
Oh, you gave me that this afternoon.
Yeah, that's right, I did. Well, that's all for the night. Good night.
You coming?
No, I'm going to stick around. I want to hear from a pawn shop detail.
Okay. Well, I'll see you in the morning.
I'm afraid so.
My car out front?
No, it's in the alley.
Don't shoot.
Why not?
You're not putting anything over on me, Bill Street.
What a pest.
All right, Mr. Wong, you'll find Mr. Davidson inside.
Come right in, Mr. Wong.
Steady. Over there, Wong.
That sounds like Jackson's voice.
That's right, Mr. Wong.
Well, Davidson, I see you have an escort, too. Good evening, Captain James.
Hiya. This is not my doing, Mr. Wong.
Oh, I gather that. I find the walk from the car a trifle fatiguing. If you gentlemen don't mind, I'll sit down. Well, now, just what is on your mind?
We're not satisfied with David's statement about the money. We're either going to get the facts from him or from you.
Well, I assure you that I haven't got the money.
This is no joke, Wong. You happen to have seen those canceled checks. What do you know about them?
Obviously forgeries. As yet, I haven't quite made up my mind as to the identity of the forger.
We'll help you make up your mind.
On my boat.
On your boat?
Yes, we're taking a sea voyage.
Well, I'm not very partial to the ocean. I hope you're a better sailor than I am, Davidson.
They've just been shot.
Bill, I see somebody in there.
Yeah, it's me.
Oh. What do you know?
Bobby, what's the matter?
Oh, get it there.
What?
Oh, it's something. Oh. Oh. Oh, well, Bill, is he hurt?
Who are you? Mr. Davidson's butler.
Where's Wong?
I haven't seen him.
Well, what happened to you?
Mr. Davidson and I were set upon by two men.
Could you identify him?
Well, maybe. I'm a little hazy right now.
Where's the phone?
In there.
Hey, wait a minute. That's Wong's umbrella. Can't you give me some sort of a description of those fellas?
Well, there was one big husky chap with a mustache, I remember. I only got a glimpse of the other fella.
Will you stop that? Could you describe their features a little?
Well, if I saw the big fella again, I'm sure...
What is that?
Something I picked up.
Where?
Over there.
Well, why didn't you tell me?
Oh.
Palliser Hotel.
What is this about the Palliser Hotel?
Quiet. Hello. Palliser Hotel? This is Captain Street speaking.
Oh, yes, Captain. Room 461? It was occupied by Captain James of the Maid of Orient. He checked out this afternoon. Boat sails at midnight.
Yeah? Thanks very much.
Your office, huh?
Hello, get me Delaney.
Delaney, this is Street. I want to detail a man at Pier 56. Maid Orient. Right away. Oh, yeah, and... Yeah. The butler at Davidson's house has been slugged. Take care of it.
Close that cargo port. Now, give us a hand here.
Davidson, if you come to with the rest of that money, we'll let you continue to live.
As a matter of curiosity, just what do you intend to do with me?
When we get 1,000 miles at sea, we'll let you swim home.
Splendid.
Come on. Oh, Bernie. Keep an eye on him.
Aye, aye.
You got a gun?
This'll do.
Take a good look at it. Okay. I'm coming aboard, Captain.
You stay here.
Listen, I told you not to follow me any further, and I'm not kidding.
How'd it do?
What? Well, you're the man in the window. Captain Jackson.
Hello, Cap.
Something wrong?
No, just a little information.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, Mr. Sand, take over, please.
Yes, sir. Recognize that key?
Oh, yes, my hotel key. I missed it when I checked out.
Any idea where you lost it?
No. Where did you get it?
Davidson's home.
Oh, that's where I dropped it.
Yeah, you called on him.
Yes. Our firm does a lot of business with Mr. Davidson's bank. I went there to get some papers signed.
You didn't see a butler slug, did you?
Butler slug? I know.
See anything of Wong?
Wong? No. Why?
He called on Davidson and he's disappeared.
Disappeared? When were you there?
When were you there?
About 5 o'clock. I finished my business, had a whiskey and soda, and left.
Very funny. Davidson disappeared, too.
Davidson? Well, he was all right when I left. I'm awfully sorry I can't be of some assistance to you.
So am I. Thanks.
Well, it's too bad about all this trouble. I hope you come to the bottom of it all right.
Looks like you're about ready to shove off.
Just waiting for you to get ashore.
I see. charge. Round up the crew and nobody goes ashore.
I'm an officer.
Yes, get him over there.
Bet high-handed, aren't you, Street?
You think so? Take these two men up and lock them in his cabin. Handcuff them.
I think we better tie him up, Davis. Here's one.
What'd that guy grab you for?
Well, I recognized him. You see, he was the one that I saw.
Where'd he come from?
Down there.
Come on, Jerry. Wong, I knew Captain James was lying. What happened?
He and Jackson kidnapped us and brought us down in that car.
Oh, kidnapping too, huh? Who's this?
As you see, he was left here to guard us.
Take care of him, Jerry. I've got them both up in the cabin.
Good thing you came when you did, Street.
All right, boys, come clean. Why'd you Shanghai Davidson?
To find out what became of the balance of the princess's money.
What'd you bring Wong along for?
I'm afraid that was my fault. I told them that Mr. Wong had examined all the canceled checks and to ask him about them.
I admitted there was one check drawn to my favor, but who signed the rest of them?
Who did it, you?
No.
It's a forgery of the princess's signature.
Oh, then somebody's working with you.
No.
All right, if nobody's working with you, which one of you killed the princess?
We never killed the princess. We had a deal to sell her some airplanes. You haven't got anything on us at all.
No, just kidnap them. Take them down and book them.
And an attempt on my life, eh, Jackson?
I'm sorry I wasn't successful.
Well, we still haven't pinned the murder on anybody.
So when you discovered that the aviation company was a fraud, you saw your chance to cover the shortage at your bank with her funds.
What do you mean?
You forged those checks, Davidson.
Don't be absurd. Those signatures were in Chinese.
Which you learned when you worked for the bank in China. Also the use of a sleeve gun.
Are you accusing me of the murder of the princess?
Yes. And the maid. And the dwarf.
Dwarf?
Must I tell you that I exhumed the body of the dwarf from the pet cemetery? One does not bury the body of a vicious dog in a pet cemetery under an expensive headstone.
You're a very clever man, Mr. Wong. I congratulate you.
All right, Davidson.
Captain Street?
Hey, grab him, Jerry! Attaboy, Jerry. He's got him. Get a line to him. Jerry picked him up. When did you exhume that body?
I didn't. But now I think we should. Eh, Street?
Oh.
Oh, boy, what a story. Hello. Hello.
Take it easy, Bobby. You're talking to the engine room.